Hey guys, it's Steve Oatley with TLG. Hey, so I made a video yesterday about which load boards to use. I'm gonna make a quick video today. I'm not gonna spend too much time on what to do once you actually subscribe to these boards. Now, again, I use three major boards in terms of dispatching the trucks I dispatch, in addition to the trucks that I own and operate. Um, the first board is Truckstop. Well, actually, let me go in order of what I utilize more. Uh, so I use DAT pretty consistently every day. I feel like DAT has more loads. Usually, the people that I work with are more credit approved. It's just for me that works like a better board. Um, for this example, I do have a semi truck, a 53-foot dry van that's sitting in Miami. He got here yesterday. He wanted a load. I booked it from him from Oregon to uh, to Miami. He found it himself. He just wanted me to deal with the packets. I tried to talk him out of coming down here, but he didn't want to. He wanted the $6,000 for whatever reason. Uh, they ended up. It's a long story. They ended up going to Canada. No experience running up there. Truck broke down. Truck had a bunch of issues. The load only paid $10,000 to go to Anchorage, so obviously they didn't know what they were doing when they booked it themselves. Um, I didn't find out. I dispatched for them, and the plan that they're on is they pay me monthly just to handle all the back office stuff. They find a lot of the loads themselves. Um, so I dealt with the broker, a lot, and it just happens to be one of those brokers no one really likes working with. And so long story short, they booked a load that was going 4,000 miles for $10,000. That's a huge issue in itself. And then the fact that neither of them had any experience driving in Alaska, and their truck wasn't situated to be able to function up there. So they were down for a long time. It took them 3 days to get it offloaded because the truck kept having issues, and then it took them a week to have the part that they needed flown in for the truck. So they ended up deadheading from Anchorage because there's no freight up there. Deadheading from Anchorage to Washington State, then from Washington to Oregon, where they found this load apparently themselves. So long story short, they ran it down to Miami, delivered yesterday morning, and then sat there and said, okay, we need a load that's paying $2 a mile going to Colorado, that area, which all of you guys know. And if you don't, there's no loads paying $2 a mile coming out of Miami. I don't know if you'll ever see a load paying $2 a mile. So here are all the loads here on that are posted within 150 miles of Miami. The furthest load, which is going to Connecticut by TQL, the DAT rate is showing $1.46 a mile. So obviously, it's just bad. I try not to get trucks to go to Miami unless you live here, or you're getting a whole ton of money coming in. It's either that. You could do little short hauls to try to drum up some of that money, but even the short hauls aren't even paying $2 a mile. So my advice to them was to take their truck and drive up to Georgia, where it's running like $1.80 a mile outbound. And last I heard from him yesterday, that's what they're doing. And then he called me this morning and said, nope, he's still in Miami. He didn't go anywhere, and find him a load out that pays well. So sometimes that's a thing with the dispatcher, that you give your recommendations, but we essentially work for them. So if they want us to search for Miami, then we'll search for Miami. I'm paid monthly anyway, so our monthly plan's $5.99. So I don't care. I'll spend all day trying to find him. He's already paid for it, and he deserves me to do my job. We don't do the percentage stuff anymore just because it was too convoluted and trying to get payments and all that good stuff. But so what I typically do is I try to find loads. So I'll try to find him a load to Miami. The first thing I do with Loadboards always, as soon as I put my city and state in, I get all the information. Because this is Miami, I'm going to open my radius up because I know I'm not going to find anything within 150 miles that even comes close to what his requirements are. The first thing I always do, just because I'll explain why, is I arrange it by rate. The reason I do that is because it'll show the rate. I can look at the mileage here and determine whether or not it's even close to a $2 a mile minimum, because that's what this carrier wants to be close to with the team, is $2 a mile. And obviously you could see that there isn't. Everything's like $1 a mile, and that's, if I look at these rates, $1.14 a mile is the average. Oh, you can't see that, but if $1.14 a mile is the average for this load here. Here, let me make this smaller so you guys can see stuff. Whatever. But long story short, so this load is going 711 miles. It's going to pick today. It's going to deliver tomorrow. Most likely, I would say it's going to deliver in the afternoon, because that's how it always works. It's scrap bales, so it's going to get your truck super, super dirty. And it's paying $800. To me, I would just say no, don't take it. But, I mean, oftentimes you got to get up that way. I've already actually called a lot of these this morning already. So I know what they're paying, and I know which lanes. And there isn't anything for them that works. So I guess this is a poor example to show, but this is the one truck I'm looking for right now. And it's bad freight. $250, you go 36 miles, doesn't sound that bad, but it's a holdover. So they deliver it tomorrow. It's not a pick and run straight through. So the first thing I do is arrange it by rate and try to see if there's any correlation between the mileage and a rate being where it needs to be. Obviously, in this lane, there is not. Oftentimes, there will be. Like, for example, if I go to Maine, I had a truck there yesterday, so I was searching. We ended up finding a load that paid $250 a mile coming out. But if, it makes it a lot easier to see here. So this one's $2,100 for $1,189 for mileage. Now, that's still low, because that's showing $230 per mile. So this rate should be closer to, 26 at $230 a mile. It doesn't mean that they're always going to pay that. Like 900, so that's right at $2 a mile. I mean, and all these rates you negotiate. So when you book the load, you say, hey, I'm calling about a load from Hudson Falls, New York to Sylvia, North Carolina. A 20-foot partial. Well, actually, this is a full truck load, but it's only 20-foot, 10,000 pounds, so it could probably go in a straight truck or a flatbed, whatever. And they'll say, yep, they'll tell you all, they repeat what you just said to them. They repeat it all back to you. So they'll say, yep, it's a load, picks up 8 to 4, delivers 8 to 4, blah, blah, blah. And we're paying $1,800. Or oftentimes, especially TQL, because there's so many brokers that work there, they'll say, yeah, and it's paying $1,600. And so you'll say, well, it's posted for 18. They'll be like, oh, can you do it for $1,800? And you say, well, I'm kind of looking for 21. They put you on hold. And take this from someone that worked in a big brokerage. What they do is they put you on hold. They're like, yeah, let me check with my supervisor real quick. And they put you on hold, and then they sit there, and they're like, yeah, so you see that game last night? Yeah, it was a good game. And they just have their side conversation. They keep you on hold for like a minute, and they come back, and they're like, we can't do 2,100, but can you do 1,850? That's the best money I got. You can do 1,850? Okay, let me put you on hold real quick. All right, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And and that's what they do. And then they come back and they say, all right, yeah, we can book it for $1,850. That is literally how it happens in every single big broker. When they say they're checking with someone, they're not. I've worked for the big brokers before. I was one of those guys that put the carrier on hold and kind of had talked about the Red Sox game and all that stuff. That's it's the nature of the business. So you just got to know what the play is. Like, if my rule of thumb is basically, if this lane said 250 and per mile, so that would make the rate at 16, so that would put the rate at like $2,400 for that lane. I would try to get whatever the DAT rate is, unless there was no other freight and we were hard up on trying to get them moved. That's where I would try to get. So I'd try to get $2,400 for this lane, depending on that's what I would say in terms of that. Now, Truckstop is kind of the same thing. I always first arrange it by the rate and see what the biggest rate is, or the highest rate. Truckstop's good because it actually gives you the totals here. So any of these loads that are paying, and I moved this search to 500 miles just because of the radius. Now you'll see the ones that are paying decent rates are from Georgia. You have Florida here, but that's $1.59. So Georgia, that's why I was trying to tell him, get out of Florida, get to Georgia, where you're going to get $1.80, $2 a mile coming out, go in the same places. Like, I believe there was a load on DAT that was going from I thought it was going to Ontario, California as well. On DAT, the thing was posted for cheap, or maybe that was earlier. Yeah, it's gone now. But and yeah, so I mean that's a really quick like Truckstop's good because they have smaller brokers. You just got to be real careful and check credit and stuff like that. And then if you're a hot shotter and you haven't figured out what Central Dispatch is, my recommendation is get it. I explained it yesterday in the other video, so you can talk. You can look more into that. But it's a backhaul board. You know what I mean? So you could find if you have 20 feet of truck and you're already getting $2 a mile, and you're like, hey, listen, I need to make more money, or I have space. Let me fill my truck. If there's no freight on DAT and on Truckstop, check Central Dispatch if you're set up with it, because then you find a car. More than 90% of the cars that are on here pay cash at delivery, so you don't have to worry about invoicing. You don't have to worry about anything. And then the truth is, it's cash at delivery. So tax purposes, it's cash at delivery. You know what I mean? So that's just a quick laydown on how to find freight. You always have to make sure you negotiate. So the only boards that I found that you can't really negotiate are these auto boards. These people, the brokers, when you call, they don't typically negotiate on it, and the rates are low. I mean, this is a 60-pound dozer or 60,000-pound dozer, and they're trying to pay $287 a mile for it. It's oversized too, I believe. So it just gives you an idea, and they're all legit brokers. You just got to check the credit. That's the biggest thing for anybody you work with. Check the credit. If you're using a new broker, the chances are they don't have credit, so don't work with them, or make them prepay, or get at least half your cash up front. That's my opinion. Coming at being a broker and being a dispatcher and freight broker currently, and all that stuff, and a trucking company owner, always check credit. And if they don't have credit, get your money up front. Even for the auto boards, if they say we're paying a check, and I check their credit for everyone anyway, even if they're prepay, because 9 times out of 10, they say, yeah, we'll meet you at a delivery. You get to the delivery, it's like a port location or a warehouse or something. They're like, yeah, we can't pay you, and they're like, oh, we'll mail you a check. I don't offload that car. I sit right here and I say, okay, well, you call me when you got a credit card. We'll give you a half an hour to get it figured out, and they always do, and they always figure it out. I've had, like I said yesterday, I've had 3 people bounce checks for cars, so we don't accept personal checks. But that's the quick load board thing. There's other boards that you can use. There's real-time freight, which is a board. It's not going to do you any good if you're an independent owner-operator, unless you're driving, towing vans. There's U-Ship, obviously, which it sucks now, and I don't recommend using it unless you use it for a backhaul purpose, because you end up spending so much time quoting stuff. And there's a couple others. There's this, I forgot what site it is, but there's a board that's tied into all the Iron Planet auctions. So it's obviously super good for hot shots. And I forgot what it's called. Real Tread or something like that. Veritread. That's what it's called. You guys want free leads, all you hot shotters out there? Sign up for Veritread. Good company, good guys behind it. I personally don't work with them because I got a little ticked off, and I'm a no bullshit kind of guy. So when I get a little worked up, sometimes I say things, and they kicked me off of the site years ago. But I still refer people to them. It's a great lead source. Not many people know about it yet. And the best part is they vet their carriers and their brokers. So you guys all got free leads right there. I'm not even going to put that in the comments. It's veritread.com. I don't get paid anything from them. It's just a good lead source for hotshot drivers. You're not going to find dry van stuff on there. It's all equipment. So, military stuff, some power-only stuff, all the generators and all the stuff that's really good for hotshots. We don't work with it on our dispatch side because we're a dispatcher. We can't have companies, or we can't have customers. We could go after direct customers for our people. That's why on our brokerage side, we don't do any freight. We only do autos because I don't want to compete with any other person that my clients consider to be customers. So, hey, with that, I'm going to end the video. It kind of carried on a bit longer than I wanted to. But yeah, any questions, guys? My email and everything is below. I'm going to try to upload a video every day. So subscribe. Find it. Sometimes it'll always be about logistics. Sometimes it'll just be like interest for me. But make sure you subscribe. You can check out my dispatching site, www.tlg-cs.com. We do have a training site, which is www.freight-training.com. we got Ship with TLG, which is the auto brokerage site, and we got a bunch of other sites that are in production or whatever. Yeah, and then my phone number is 772-247-0201. My personal extension is 1001. Give me a call. You need help. You want to get set up with a company. You want us to dispatch for you. You want to learn how to dispatch yourself more effectively, whatever you want. All right, guys. Thanks.